Making AI videos just got a whole lot simpler because you can now run the entire thing from a single Claude chat. You describe what you want, and Claude generates it in the background using Higgsfield. I used it to build this full cinematic underwater film, and I'm going to walk you through the whole thing. If you've ever made AI videos, you know the struggle. You write prompts in one tab, generate in another, download, re-upload, and half your session is just moving files between tools. Higgsfield fixed that with something called MCP, which basically lets Claude plug straight into Higgsfield so Claude can generate images and videos itself, right in the chat. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, and in plain terms, it's a standard way for AI tools to talk to each other. So once the connection is established, Claude can see Higgsfield's tools and run them as if they were its own. And the setup takes about 2 minutes, so let's get it done. If you want to follow along, the Higgsfield link is in the description. The page shows you the setup steps along with the exact link to copy. Now, over in Claude, go to Settings, then Connectors, and click the little plus icon to add a custom connector. Name it Higgsfield, paste that link in, and hit Add. Once it's connected, a permissions panel pops up where you pick which tools Claude is allowed to use, and at minimum, you want Generate Image and Generate Video turned on. And the full list goes way past those two. There's background removal, reframing, presets, character tools, nearly everything the platform can do, all callable from the chat. I'd keep that list tight too, because every tool you enable is something Claude can run on its own, so only switch on what you actually plan to use. Now let's test it, and I'll paste in this prompt. And when it runs, you actually see the Higgsfield job appear right inside the chat. It processes there, and the finished image drops into the conversation like any other reply. We get a golden retriever with full eagle wings flying above the clouds, with that cinematic blue tint I asked for in 4K. And notice I never opened Higgsfield because the prompt itself specifies which model to use, and if you break it down, that one sentence gave 6 separate instructions: the subject, the color grade, the shot style, the model, the quality, and the aspect ratio. I made the test 4:3 on purpose too, because ratio control is the easiest thing to check at a glance. And the film we're making next is 16:9, so switching between them is nothing more than changing the words in the sentence. And that's the core of this whole workflow. Your settings go inside the sentence, so instead of clicking through menus, you just say what you want: the model, the quality, the resolution, the ratio, and Claude handles the rest. But a test image is the small stuff, because the real reason we connected these two is to make an actual film. By the way, if you haven't opened Higgsfield yet, I'd really recommend opening it from the link in the description and following these steps along with me, because it makes the whole thing much easier to do. And you'll walk away from this video with a finished film of your own. We're making a 36-second underwater short film in first-person view, with 3 videos of 12 seconds each, and the story runs from calm exploration to a chase to a discovery at the end. And first person is a deliberate choice, because the diver's hands are in every single shot, and that's exactly what makes them easy to keep consistent. And the whole thing, from the concept to the final footage, never leaves the conversation. And instead of prompting each piece one at a time, I'm giving Claude the entire production plan in one message, so I'll paste this in. It's a long one, but the structure is simple. It splits the job into 3 stages: the reference frame, the sequence breakdown, and the generation. And it tells Claude to stop and wait for my approval after every stage. Those approval stops matter, because without them, Claude would run all 3 generations in one go, and if the first video is off, everything after it is off too. And you can reuse this exact structure for any film you want to make. Keep the 3 stages and the approval stops, and just swap out the story in the middle. Stage 1 is the reference frame, and this is the film's consistency trick. Before any video gets made, Claude generates one image of the diver's hands and gloves underwater, and that exact image becomes the anchor for all 3 videos. So the gloves, the equipment, and the water tone stay identical from start to finish. And the prompt specifically says this is not a scene, just the hands and gloves against open water, because an anchor works best when there's nothing in it except the things that need to stay consistent. The first version comes back honestly 90% there. The gloves, the water tone, and the light shafts all look right. But there's a dive watch on the left wrist that I don't want, so I'll tell it to remove the watch and put something else on his left hand. And the second version comes back with the torch in his left hand and the beam cutting through the water. This frame is exactly what an anchor should be. The charcoal gloves, the torch with its beam visible, deep teal water with light shafts coming down from above. Simple enough to match in every shot and specific enough that you'd notice if it drifted. So I'll approve it and tell Claude to move to stage 2. Now Claude writes the full prompt for each video and shows me all 3 together before generating anything. So I get to approve the shape of the whole film at once, instead of finding problems one generation at a time. And these prompts are worth a closer look, because every single one starts with the exact same description of the hands, the charcoal gloves, the wetsuit sleeves, the torch with the yellow grip ring, and that repeated block is what keeps the diver identical across all 3 videos. Then each video is broken into 5 numbered shots with a time on each one. one. 2 seconds here, 3 seconds there, so every 12-second video is really a 5-shot sequence with its own edit already built in. Take the first one. Shot 1 pushes through a rock arch, shot 2 tilts up into a spiraling school of silver fish, shot 3 grazes a sea fan coral, shot 4 glides through a field of jellyfish, and shot 5 brings in the sea turtle and that dark shape at the end, all timed down to the second. And one more detail in the master prompt is doing a lot of work here. Each video has to end on a frame that cuts into the next one, and that's what makes 3 separate generations feel like one continuous film instead of 3 pieces stuck together. And Claude closes every one of them with the same color grade line, deep teal blue, cinematic, which is the third consistency layer after the hands and the settings. All 3 run on Seedance 2.0, 12 seconds each, 720p 16:9 with ambient sound and Foley only, no music. So the only sound in the raw footage is the regulator breathing, the bubbles, and the water itself, because the music gets added in the edit where we control it scene by scene. And the 720p is on purpose too, because the last step of this workflow upscales everything to 4K, so there's no reason to spend extra credits on resolution now. The prompts all look good, so I'll approve them and Claude starts generating. Video 1 first, then it shows me the result and waits, then video 2, then video 3. That pause between generations runs on the same logic as the approval stops. Every video costs credits, so you check the one that just finished before the next one spends anything. And the 3 come back exactly on story: calm exploration with a sea turtle and a dark shape drifting past at the end, then the chase through the coral tunnel, then the chest on the seafloor that does not stay shut. The gloves, the torch, and the water tones stay the same through all 3, which is exactly what that reference frame was for. And the quality is honestly right up there with generating on the platform directly, which makes sense, because Claude isn't generating anything itself. It's running the same Seedance 2.0 you'd use in Higgsfield. Now there's one part of this that Claude can't do for you, and that's the final edit, because stitching the clips into a single film is still a manual job. So download the 3 videos, drop them into CapCut or whatever editor you use, and line them up in story order. Then trim the edges of each video, because AI footage always has a rough second or 2 around the cuts, and trimming those edges is what makes the transitions feel smooth. After that, layer your music to match each part. Something calm for the exploration, something driving for the chase, something uneasy for the discovery. And one thing to know here, ending up shorter than you generated is completely normal. A 36-second generation usually trims down to around 30, so always generate more footage than your target, because that extra is your room to edit. And export the final cut as a 720p video. But a 720p file is not what you want to publish, and fixing that is the one step people skip. Seedance generates at 720p, which looks fine in the edit but soft on a big screen, so the last move is taking the whole film up to 4K. And this happens right back inside Claude, so I'll upload the finished MP4 into the same chat and paste this in. The settings go inside the sentence again. The source is our 720 export, the provider is Topaz Video AI, the model is Starlight Precise 2.5, the target is 4K, and the aspect ratio stays on auto so nothing gets stretched. And Claude does the entire thing on its own. It uploads the file to Higgsfield, checks that the upload went through, confirms the job, and runs the upscale through Topaz Video AI with the Starlight Precise 2.5 model, taking our 720p film to full 4K with the aspect ratio preserved. And the difference is obvious. The water texture, the particles, the torch beam, everything holds up on a big screen now. And that order, generate at 720p, edit, then upscale once at the end, is the cheap way to do this, because editing low quality files is faster on any machine, and you only pay for 4K a single time on the finished cut. So the whole film took one Claude conversation and one editing session. Claude generated the anchor image, wrote the prompts, made all 3 videos, and finished it in 4K, and the only thing I did by hand was the cut. And this same setup is how I run my image jobs, video jobs, and upscales now. One chat, plain English, approve the steps, collect the result. And the part that sold me on this setup is how little I ever left the chat, because from the first test image to the 4K export, Claude ran all of it through one connection. So when you're ready to build your own, the Higgsfield link is in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.